Hi, and welcome to my presentation about the assignment 1. My name is Nguyễn Chỉ Kiên. My student ID is 3CH2000413. My class I'm enrolling in is GCH0904. In this presentation, I will discuss all the four sections of the assignment, and I will focus on section 2 because uh, that section is the most understandable that I have so far. The table of content of this assignment or of this presentation is include purpose and type of DNS. And in this part, I will talk about how domain names are organized and managed. Next, the purpose of some communication protocols, server hardware, operating system, web server software, and the front end, back end technology in website and website publishing and designing. I will talk about it and discuss about the advantage, disadvantage, and some function that include in website programming like databases, IDE, CMS, and website builders. First one, DNS definition. Database of names that correspond to numbers. Why is only numbers, not letters? Because computer only understand the names that's right by numbers, especially in, in DNS as a method that relate to network and websites. Web browser interact through Internet Protocol as IP address. DNS can translate the domain name to IP address, as we talked about before. The browser interact to the IP address, so it can load into Internet resource and research for user command or user domain name when user enter the domain name. And the most important thing that DNS have is eliminate the needs of human to memorize IP address. That is have a fact that some research conclusion that people often remember letter better than remember the numbers. So the DNS have the work as a more effective method to memorize IP address. The DNS capability converting some host name to an IP address that machine can understand. Because sometimes the host name not always includes number. Some host name are full of letters and special segment, special signs, and the computer or some device cannot understand. Each device on the internet is assigned at a IP address, assigned an IP address, which is required to locate the right internet device, just like a street address is required to locate the certain residence. It is related to our daily life that the IP address like our own phone number, our own uh, street address is like identity address, and the IP address is as same as the identity one. That the IP address will show the domain name, the website, or everything that relate to the IP address. When the user requests a web page, a translation must take place between what the user put into their browser and the machine-friendly at required to find the example.com page. Well, actually, this means when the user requests the web browsers for a web page, the DNS will translate the user inputs and between the user input and the browser as a IP address to find the example or the exact location of that page. How DNS work? Here is a picture of how the normal DNS will work, and I will talk about this more specific in the types of DNS. Type of DNS. First of all, is DNS recursive. It replies to the DNS query by either asking another DNS server for the address or saving the site's IP address. That is specific, specifically the most common one that we use every day. We enter a domain name, a website name, and the DNS will translate it to the query and asking for the server, the DNS server, for the IP address or for the domain name of that page. And in somehow, the DNS server will save the site's IP address, the website IP address. Recursive DNS resolver. That is a technique that DNS recursor have. The computer that responds to a recursive request from a client and take the time to track down the DNS record. It does it by making a series of requests until they reach the authoritative DNS name server for the request record. This means whenever a DNS record enters the DNS servers, then it will run as a compiler, and it will search again and again until the comfortable research or comfortable result appear, and it will stop at that uh, request at that address and showing on the display of the user. The next type of DNS is TLD name server, a top level domain. The name is tell us all. A top level domain is the one of the internet highest level DNS servers because it specifically is the most highest quality internet DNS servers. And when the user input www.varonis for the domain name of the website as World Wide Web searching .com into your browser or their browsers, the first response will come from a TLD server for the .com service. It means when you .com or slash or .vn.government edu is a service of TLD server, and followed by DNS looking for Varonis is the domain name and the name of the website, it will come out the final result in the web browser. Next one, we have root name server. It delivers a list of alternative name server for the relevant top-level domain in response to direct requests. It means when you searching for anything, it will come out a list of alternative name that uh, comfort the research result, the searching result as a user want to see on the web browsers. And this list of alternative name is linked to the top level domain name in response to direct requests. And the last one of the types of DNS is alternative DNS server. It's the last point of contact for a DNS query. And what is a DNS query? A DNS query will be a as a translation or a communicating resource that DNS will send or will request for a server. DNS record for the request and is held by the alternative name server. It means this type of DNS will be the final final way to search for the suitable result for some request of the DNS in searching a website or searching a website or searching a application. How to organize and manage the DNS. First, how to organize. Consider DNS to be a phone book that maps computer names to IP address rather than people names to street location. A DNS records is a name given to each mapping. For example, in our daily life, we always have our own phone number, our own street name or house name, house number, and we have a phone book or a address book that include our name, our phone number, our street location if needed, and consider to the DNS. The how to organize the DNS is similar to how to organize our phone number and our street location. It's very simple and it's related to locating the DNS or the IP address. Any computer may ask its DNS server for information on the number or name, and the DNS server understands how to ask or query other DNS servers when they require record. It is a vari- various various server relationship between a located DNS with the DNS servers. A DNS server does an upstream query until they reach the domain authority, also known as the authoritative name server. This related to the authoritative name server type of DNS and it's just do their work, repeat various of time until they reach the suitable result. And the next one is how to manage a DNS. A DNS administrator makes a modification for the authoritative DNS whenever they wish to add, modify, or delete a server name or IP address. It means DNS have their own manager called the DNS administrator, and she can modify, she can resetting or even delete the DNS server. Some DNS management software control the DNS. Uh, Actually, I have no idea with the how many popular managed DNS managed software nowadays, but I believe that in some cases it is important for managing the DNS. And the last one is DNS server cluster communication protocol definition. A set of rules that allow two or more entities in a communication system to communicate using a physical quantity variation. For instance, our normal communication like face-to-face, texting, phone call, FaceTime, it is a communication protocol in the website platform that includes some function that every single device need to base on, and it allows every device which have same connection, same IP address research to communicate with each other physically. That is a some example of communication protocol by sending messages between two PC or two server. Next, purpose of communication protocol allow different network devices to communicate with each other. It is very easy to understand. Define the rules, syntax, and semantic. Well, depends on what device is connecting, and is there every device is a same server or a same edition, ranging from transferring files between devices to accessing the internet. Synchronization of communication and possible error recovery methods. Server hardware definition. A hardware-based a server is a physical device linked to a computer network that runs an operating system alongside one or more software-based server. Basically, a server hardware is computer hardware. Basically, because as you as you know, hardware server is large and is a large and number many and large computers uh, built in a you know big data, and is consider a lot of memories and a lot of database that include in the server hardware, and that's a hardware based server is sometimes known as a host device. In theory, any machine with server hardware with server software may act as a host because server hardware is very expensive to have, and it's hard to be managed because it's a huge amount of memories. and data. So it's a lot of difficult in managing the server hardware. Its purpose of server hardware: wait for any request from user or other computer and then act on that request. For example, a server hardware is the center. In the center of a circle include many and a lot of um computers and user around it, and the server hardware is the center of it. Every connection of every computer link into server hardware, and every request sent into it is always need to wait or need to, you know, take a line to wait the response from the hardware. After the server hardware respond, the computer will act on that request. Act on that response. Manage a network resource and to deliver services to the network user. Share data and perform tasks to keep your workflow smooth and productivity elevated. This is related to RAM memory, and the CPU speed. The RAM memory, more effective RAM leads to more smooth and productivity work. More modern CPU, or for I say more fast the CPU are, then the more smooth and productivity work we have. Next, operating system definition. A type of operating system that is designed to be installed and used on a server computer. Server as a communication bridge between the user and the computer hardware. Operating system basically is operating system. Sound pretty weird, but the operating system are the one which user always need to have when they want to use a computer or a mobile device. A smartphone, tablet, or everything have a display on it. And operating is installable and uninstallable too, because you can always uninstall and reinstall or change another operating system in one device. But this may cause a lot of drawbacks because some device is, you know, out of the storage and full of storage, so you cannot just change a lot of operating system in one time. Server as a communication bridge between the user and the computer hardware. It means from the user interact with the operating system, then the operating system interact to the hardware. It's the, you know, recycle relation. And we can say the operating system manage the hardware of the computer. Purpose of operating system: provide a platform on which a user can execute program in a convenient and efficient manner. Manage all location of computer hardware. The manage of all location of computer hardware, as I said before, is a interact between user, operating system, and computer hardware. They provide a platform on which a user can execute program. It means the desktop. Basically, it's a desktop. and it's a window, or in Mac we call what it they call maybe just window and desktop server software definition. A type of software that designed to be used, operated, and managed on a computing server. The purpose of web server software is allow simply to the use of underlying server processing capacity for a variety of high-end computing and application and tasks. Re- Requisition web page and distribute them. The requisition web page and distribute them, it means the server software will have some effect on what what is going on in the in a web page, and if necessary the server software will take some action on it. Relation with designing, publishing, and accessing a website. As we can see in the developing section, the communication protocol have the computer and the internet IP address and browser using a distinct language with specific form. It's based on which nation in it, which country, which you know language, or which culture the communication protocol leads to in, and the communication protocol will interact with. And the specific form is mean we need to have a design, a hard hard design that include communication protocol for developing a website. Operating systems have templates for supporting website design with suitable operating system. On a publishing section, the server hardware is upload relevant information for the internet from the web browser. The web server software publish the web research from the browser. It means the server hardware will upload the relevant, you know, result to the internet from the web browser for user to know. And the web server software will display the web research from the browser. I mean, when you searching for something like Facebook, YouTube, the server hardware will display the relevant website or relevant link lead to what you want in order the request of your DNS server, and the web server software will publish the most common and the most uh, popular research for another for your research, and it will contain some specific function on it. Operating system have published and share websites information in the server. In the accessing a website section, the communication protocol will transfer data request through the internet. The server hardware will support web exchange information various of server. The web server software will keeping and discussing information for use in device. The operating system will install necessary software for website developing. Next, The website technologies definition. Web technology refers to the technique through which computers connect with one another using markup language and multimedia packages. For example, browser, HTML, and CSS, programming language, frameworks, web server, database, and protocol. For basically website technology in some cases can call as a website programming language because based on the example we can understand as website technology includes some programming language to develop the website for website developer as front end and back end developers. Front end website technology capabilities. Definition: the component of a website that users interact with is called the front end. Front end. It means the display of the website, the template of the website, and the outlook of the website. Capability: everything you see on the web, from fonts and colors to drop-down menus and sliders, is a combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that is controlled by your computer browser. The fact that at HTML, and CSS are two of the most unsecured website developing program because whenever you enter a HTML or CSS website, you can always change the source code, change the design, and change the information on it. This is basically because the HTML website enable user to enter their source code and edit it edit it, and it's kind of low security websites. Relate to presentation and application layers. Any text, pictures, or functionality that appears and is viewable on the website or application. Back-end website technology capabilities. Definition: a server, an application, and a database makes up a website backend. Capability: a backend developer creates and maintains the technology that enable the component that allow the website user-facing site to exist in the first place. Well, for instance, the backend website technology is like a whole a whole project, whole website project of a group or of a website developers group that includes servers, application to involve the website or application like programming a website as HTML, CSS, and other like JavaScript and PHP, and include a database too. And it's like developing a real website is the backend website technologies. Relate to presentation and application layers. Developers are responsible for building and managing website and app using the process source code and programming languages, as I said before. Related to presentation and application layers. Front end components that are available and visible to the users. Every client that see and that every client that can see and communicate directly with the application using their feature, the backend. Codes, design, functions are not visible on the display, widely used like Java, Python, PHP, etc. Front-end technology advantages. A large number of tools, frameworks are available. More input from client and users. Well, it is basically visible advantages. Disadvantages. Less common, more stressful, relying heavily on other layers. The more stressful and relying heavily on other layers are facts because front-end developers can, can have a lot of stress and a lot of upset with the customer, the user, and other developers because the front-end developer must to take responsibility for the website quality. First of all, it's the it's like a face of the website developer group. Backend technology advantages: more standard, less likely to be affected by client user input. More ethereal. Disadvantages: intricate business logic. Obtaining genius input from end user clients is more difficult. Receiving a lower credit score. Databases. Advantages: data abstraction, controlling data redundancy. Data can be shared. Data manipulation easily minimizes data inconsistency. Data security, support multi-user views, cons- concurrent access, help for decision making. Disadvantages: cost of hardware and software, cost of data conversion, cost of staff training. IDEs. Advantages: time and effort saving, project management, and cross-project or cooperated standard. Disadvantages: learning curve, will not fix bad code, practices, or designs. CMS. Advantages: quick development, less back and coding, provide built-in page builder, easy for non-technical person, security, improve customer service, dependence on plugins and widgets, hidden costs of plugins and widgets, site load speed, maintenance, not highly scalable, limitation in functional requirement, functional unlimited. Website builder advantages: no coding skill required, no design skill required, low cost and quick, exportable. Disadvantages: not suitable for professional business, slow loading time, not custom design, few pages, few features. And that is the end of my presentation. I hope you are pleased with my presentation, emotion, and facilities. Thank you. And I hope I can have the pass score of this assignment. Thank you a lot.